Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Morning. Shh. Thank you very much. Good morning, Minister, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome you all, and thank you for joining us here today. We have a very busy schedule ahead of us, and I'd like to run through some of the order of the day so that we can get started. We've probably over 600 people here today, so can I ask you just to just pay attention to your phone, make sure that it's on silent. We are going to be doing some twittering here today, so the hashtag TI2014 is the Twitter handle. Could I also ask you to just take note of the fire exits to the rear of the hall and also out to the side here to my left. In a few moments, I'm going to introduce the chairman, Brian Ambrose, who will set the scene, and then he's going to invite Minister Varadkar to address us all. Then Niall Gibbons, our Chief Executive, will follow to outline the tourism direction for 2014 and the next 3 years ahead of that. After we've heard from Niall, I would ask you to remain in the room for a moment as we have a kind of a phased approach to the various market breakout sessions, and where you're going to hear about the detailed plans that we have and how you can get involved. When you arrived here today, you were given a programme badge. You had your name and the name of your organisation on that, and it also had a sequence in terms of the various different market breakout sessions that you were going to go to. There's going to be people on hand to direct you, and I'll be back up later to just detail the various different movements. As I said, we've over 600 people here today, so I would appreciate your time and patience in terms of organising the following sessions. After the breakout sessions, there's going to be plenty of time for you to interact with some of the Tourism Ireland and Fulch Ireland staff that are here, and we have a number of kind of one-to-one desks that are going to be based outside here that will allow you to ask various different questions. To keep you going through all of that, there's going to be some light lunch running from around 12:30 just out here outside the door. Anyway, listen, I'm going to come back later on and I'll remind you of all of those instructions at the end of Niall's presentation. So really, that's enough of all of that, and we've a very busy morning ahead of us. So let's get started. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce Brian Ambrose, Chairman of Tourism Ireland.
Well, good morning. Can I add my welcome today? Fantastic, over 600 people. I see it's standing room only at the back, so I think the Tourism Ireland staff have been told to leave the seat, so we'll keep this short. Minister, we're delighted to welcome you here this morning. Thank you for your time, and not only time for being here this morning, but your support and leadership throughout another exciting year within tourism. I was looking back, I first joined the Board of Tourism Ireland 6 years ago, just as all the graphs started to head the wrong direction. So it's been a tough number of years, and I was looking through the draft presentation for this morning. I was looking through the 2013 results, and I thought it was about time I came down and took some credit. Everything's going well, and the graphs are heading in the right direction. And actually, when I looked at it, Shane gave me some speaking notes from this morning, and there were a total of 14 different individuals or organisations that he asked me to thank, and I think we are deeply indebted to those in this room who actually deliver the results. We can develop plans, we can do marketing, but it's the people who own business and are in this room who have delivered the results for us. So among those that we'd like to just take note, we work obviously very closely with our colleagues in Fulch Ireland, and we'd like to thank them. The gathering, which you'll hear more from in a moment, has been a great success, and for all involved in the gathering. ITIC we've worked closely with, and ITOA. There's been the Tourism Recovery Task Force, the 4 market partnership groups, and then, as I've mentioned, Minister Varadkar. I'd have to mention Minister Ring as well, Minister of State, and the officials in the various departments. It's been a collective effort that has brought us to a point where we really can be upbeat and positive when we speak about tourism. And so Niall's going to give you all the technicolor detail in a moment. But why are we positive and why are we upbeat this morning? Well, we've had growth in virtually all of our markets. We've had a record year in North America. We've had record growth in our new and developing markets. Europe continues now to perform strongly, is now the largest source market for the holiday maker revenue, and the Great Britain market has finally returned again to growth. The gathering has been a thread that has been woven throughout all of the success this year, and so I believe we're justified in giving a very positive and upbeat message as we look at the plans ahead. So as you all know, the reward that most of us get for a very exceptional year, that becomes your baseline, and we've been looking within the Board of Tourism Ireland at what achievable targets there can be moving ahead. Niall, I sat through part of the dry run this morning. There's an exciting presentation to go into detail as to why we believe that we will build on the exciting year that 2013 has been, and we're setting ourselves very aggressive growth targets for the next 3 years. So that's just by way of background as to why we believe as a board that we can be positive and upbeat, and we really can build on the success of 2013. I did note, Shane, one group that you didn't mention in the list of people for me to thank was the Tourism Ireland team themselves. I know I speak for Jim and my other colleagues on the board that it's a very talented team. We're privileged to serve on a board with such a talented executive, and so publicly I want to acknowledge the work that goes on behind the scenes from the team, both here in Dublin and in the offices throughout the world. So once again, I'd like to thank you for this record turnout and for your presence and your support. And before Niall goes into the detail, I would like, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you our Minister, Leo Varadkar. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Brian. And first of all, thank you all very much for coming here. I think we've about 600 people here attending this event, which makes it the largest ever Dublin marketing plan launch for Tourism Ireland, and I think gives us some indication of the optimism that we're experiencing in the industry at the moment. 2013 was a very good year in terms of inbound tourism. Around this time last year, you may recall, we set a target for 5% growth in visitor numbers. Certainly, at least from the statistics we have so far, we've exceeded that with growth more in the range of 6 to 8%. And as Brian mentioned, it's going to be a record year from North America, a record year from long-haul destinations such as Australia and the developing markets, and could also be a record year from some of the mainland European markets like Germany and France, which is very positive too. And we've started to see some recovery in number of visitors from Britain, particularly in the last quarter, which again is very reassuring and shows that some of the ideas that came out of the Tourism Recovery Task Force, which are being implemented, are starting to bear fruit. As you know, the government is very much behind tourism. We're not just behind it because we like tourism, we like the industry even though we do. We're very much behind tourism because it is an export industry that brings money into the economy, and it's also an industry that creates lots of jobs, and not just jobs in the big cities, but jobs all over the country, in rural areas and in the small towns. And one thing I was very pleased to see in the Quarterly National Household Survey statistics that came out the other day was that there are now 17,000 more people working in the food service accommodation sector than there were this time 2 years ago. We're still not back to peak levels of employment, but we're definitely getting there. And between a quarter and a third of all the new employment that's been created in this state in the last 2 years has been in the tourism sector, which I think is a real tribute to everyone who's involved in the industry, that it can deliver growth and can deliver jobs. In terms of policies that we've tried to implement, of course, we've tried to help the industry to stay competitive by keeping the VAT rate down, which I think was very important. And it's really helped to correct the idea that did exist there in the past, that Ireland was not a value for money destination. I don't think we have that problem anymore. We've put a lot into air access. creating competition between the state airports by separating Shannon, and doing other things as well, such as the abolition of the travel tax, and using Tourism Ireland internationally to help market new routes. And we've seen a real increase in air access, which is really important, and I think Niall will probably mention that in more detail. If you go back 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't have flights to Dubai, we didn't have flights to Washington DC, we didn't have year-round access to Canada or access to the west coast of America, and all that has now either changed or is changing. But there's still a lot more that we can do there, and we intend to do it. And we've also tried to give people new reasons to come to Ireland, new pull factors, and they are things like the ongoing capital investment, but also things like the gathering, which I think has worked out extremely well. And I particularly want to take this opportunity to thank everyone working for the agencies, for Tourism Ireland, for Fáilte Ireland, for the gathering team, everyone in the industry, and then all the volunteers and different people around the country who made the gathering happen. Over 5,000 gatherings of different types happened this year, and really gave a lot of people that extra reason to visit Ireland. And it wasn't just about tourism. I think it genuinely did strengthen links with the diaspora overseas, with the Irish abroad, and also gave people new cause for community pride, which I think is something very important too. For next year, the signs are very good. Again, if we look at air access, we're looking at maybe 40% more flights from Canada, 10% more seats from the US, increases from Britain and America as well. The ferries have put on extra services, both to Britain and to France, and the tour operators are reporting that advance bookings are ahead of where they were this time last year. So that gives you a bit of confidence at least that 2014 will see further growth on 2013. And the target that's being set now is a 4% increase in visitors next year and an 8% increase in revenue. I think that's ambitious. It's particularly ambitious in the year after the gathering to add again to the number of visitors, but I do think it can be done, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the marketing plans that will underwrite that. Next year we're going to have a particular focus on the Wild Atlantic Way, which as you know is the longest coastal driving route in the world, running from the northern tip of Donegal to West Cork and Kinsale. I've been at some of the tourism missions overseas. The response to it really is phenomenal. It is something that the industry and tour operators and agents and journalists overseas really get straight away, and they're really impressed by it. And I do think in the future it's going to be something, probably Ireland's equivalent to the Garden Route in South Africa, something really really important and really special. I am, of course, conscious that there is one tourism minister from the west of Ireland and one who isn't. The one who's from the west of Ireland is enormously enthusiastic about the Wild Atlantic Way, and was very pleased to have helped secure €8 million in the budget to improve some of the infrastructure along the way and put in the viewing points. But as somebody who is from the east of Ireland, I can absolutely guarantee anyone who is concerned otherwise that the focus on the Wild Atlantic Way is an additional focus. It's not instead of our focus on Ireland as a destination. So we're still going to be promoting Belfast and the Causeway Coast. We're still going to be promoting the Viking Triangle in the southeast. A huge amount of investment went into that. It's going to be promoted. We have the Giro d'Italia, for example, next year. There's the Limerick City of Culture, and there's also the college football game in Dublin. So you can be absolutely certain that anything that's happening around the Wild Atlantic Way is additional to the ongoing work that we do overseas. The focus today, of course, is on inbound tourism and the inbound market, but I am very conscious that a lot of people here are individuals or represent businesses that are very reliant as well on the domestic business, and that's important too. People taking holidays within Ireland, people going to conferences within Ireland, people organising their weddings and so on. And I know that hasn't been very good for the last couple of years. It's been pretty flat, if anything, maybe slightly down. But I do think that we are starting to see some real signs of recovery in the Irish economy. Consumer confidence is now at a 6-year high, albeit from a very low base. And there's about 58,000 more people at work this year than last year. And a lot of those high-frequency indicators are looking very positive in the economy. The ports are very busy, the airports are very busy. And even the numbers using public transport, I was just looking at those figures the other day, are starting to increase again. And that would give me some confidence that at least next year we'll start to see growth in domestic tourism as well, which I know is going to be very important to a lot of people here. As I mentioned, 2013 has been a very good year for tourism, but I certainly don't think it's the high water mark. I think that we can deliver sustained and sustainable growth in tourism over the next number of years, and that's exactly what we intend to do. So I hope you have a good day and the best of luck for 2014. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thanks to you and to all your team at the Department for all the support that you've given us throughout the course of 2013. And we look forward to working with you in future years to drive additional success for the tourism industry. And what a year it's been. 2013 has been fantastic, and I'm going to start off with a short video that was played at the Global Irish Economic Forum, which speaks of the gathering.
Shine like an arc light, sing like a bird might sing. And he was higher than heaven, higher than every other thing.
The Economic Forum hearing a community-led plan, a coming together, a gathering of the Irish.
The aim is to get a big increase in the number of people visiting the island to restore pride in Ireland.
This is a great country, and what we're saying to the people, invite them to Ireland for 2013.
All branches of society, the public sector, government departments, the corporate sector, all came together behind one initiative. And it wasn't about writing a big check. And they did it, and people gave of their own time. And I think that was spectacular.
I want to just share with you some of the ideas for Gathering Ireland in 2013.
To take part in the Great Tribal Oyster Feast-Off.
A river dance festival weekend.
The town of 1,000 beards.
1,000 bearded, hairy men with their arms around each other.
Having hairy fun.
Doomsday.
Fringe festivals, family reunions in England.
Phenomenally good for tourism. I'm sure people won't believe me when I say this, but actually it's one of those unusual projects in politics that actually exceeded my expectations. We're going to meet all our financial targets in terms of tourist numbers. A record year from North America, our best year from long-haul destinations, a really good year from mainland Europe. But it's been about more than that. It's restored a lot of pride in communities. It's helped us to build on the links that exist with the diaspora and even make those connections stronger.
Director of the CIA, John Brennan, attended a gathering event.
Daniel Day-Lewis is hosting his very own gathering in aid of the Window of Suspending.
Tom Cruise today discovered the truth of his Irish.
Come home to Ireland. It's going to be a blast. I mean you, Shaquille O'Neal.
I think gatherings being overwhelmingly good for business. Just look at the numbers.
It wasn't the gathering that was the end product, but the gathering was a catalyst. It was announced as part of the Global Irish Economic Forum back in 2011, and it really spread like wildfire.
Nothing surprises me about the Irish or their diaspora. They're capable of doing anything. This gathering has, proven to be far more successful than people imagined. It's been good for Ireland, but more importantly, it's been good for the people. Community is the power. Politics is about people, and so is community, and that power creates those links that last forever. So it is about continuity. It is about keeping those links very strong, to give them a sense of place, to renew connections, making them even stronger with our common humanity, and have a really good time.
It's crazy day, but such a good gathering.
I was looking at the web for things to do in Ireland. I saw the liver content.
It's no longer just a one-time event, it's now a movement. We're coming back. We're going to have another reunion. Yep.
Gathering is one of the greatest events we've done in this country.
What holds the people together and what swells the people. I think called community, I think that's the hero.
So that was great, and just to say congratulations to everybody involved in every town and every village across this whole island that's been part of the gathering. It's given us a great platform overseas during the course of 2013. So just to talk about market performance in 2013 and run through the top 4 main market areas, it's been a very strong performance from mainland Europe, driven by what look like record performances now from France, Germany, Spain. Again, very strong performances from Benelux and also the Nordic markets. And Europe is now the biggest supplier of holidaymaker revenue to the island of Ireland, which is very significant. In relation to Great Britain, great to see it coming back to growth. The forecast 7% growth to year end. But what's been really encouraging is that in the last quarter alone, we've seen double-digit growth from Britain, which is terrific news. North America has been a star performer. It's going to be a record year from North America, in excess of 1 million visitors spending $1 billion. And in addition to that, we've also seen Ireland's share of outbound North American travel to Europe at its highest level ever. Last but by no means least, Australia and developing markets, another record year in 2013 on top of the record year in 2012, driven in particular by a very strong performance from Australia, which is up 26% this year, very strong economy and strong currency. But also now we've got boots on the ground in Russia, in Brazil, and our largest ever trade mission to China last month too, and very healthy double-digit growths coming from those markets as well. So in terms of summing up overall 2013 performance, we're likely to see an increase of about 7.2% in the total number of visitors to the island of Ireland this year, and an increase in revenue of about 6%. And I think it's fair to say that's been felt fairly well throughout the whole country. So just before we wrap up 2013, I just want to give you a short video of some of the overseas marketing activity that you may not see here at home that's made 2013 success all possible.
From the ancestral homesteads among the rolling green hills to the bustling streets of Dublin. Stay with us.
Welcome to Ireland, where everybody's got red hair. Well, at least they do with the red hair convention. I suppose that counts. Just one of thousands of amazing events that are happening this year at the Gathering 2013. With me, people will be gathering in Ireland from all over the world in 2013 for a record-breaking number of music and dance festivals. We've even saved you a seat. So come and join us at the great gatherings all over Ireland in 2013.
So tell us, where is the place to go this year? How about a trip to Ireland? Telling us more is Irish Tourism Minister Leo Varadkar.
Well, I think it's got to be Ireland. Very proud of the Irish.
Willkommen in Dublin, der Hauptstadt Irlands. Man könnte fast meinen, man sei in Paris oder in Prag, wenn man sich einige Brücken anguckt.
I've been enjoying the best my homeland has to offer. So join me as I make new friends in one of the most welcoming places on earth.
Bradshaw's is definitive about where the railway tourist should begin. Whether his stay is long or short, the first excursion he should make is to the far-famed Gap of Dunlo.
Irish seldom need an excuse for a party, but the government there has decided the time has come to offer them one, or rather thousands of excuses for why they should get together. They're calling it the Gathering.
XFM breakfast, and of course you know we are in Dublin.
The southwest coast of Ireland is so special. It's not only because of the great Gulf, but it's because of the culture, the people, and the Guinness.
The Guinness.
workshop was fantastic. I've come from Westport this morning. I got up at 4:30 to be here. So worthwhile. I mean, I don't know how else I'm going to reach 20,000 international media in one afternoon's visit. So it's a fantastic opportunity for us, and we're delighted to be included.
So again, a very sort of short flavour of all the activity that's going on in 22 markets overseas, and thanks to everybody who's played a part in making all of that possible. So the next question really as we look forward is, are we ready for the journey? And the next journey is taking us on a 3-year journey from 2014 to 2016. And what we're looking to do during that period is drive Holidaymaker by an additional 24% on its 2013 level, which will see us in 2016 reach a total number of visitors of 8.9 million. Those are very big numbers, and I suppose the questions that people are going to be asking us, well, how are we going to get there? Well, there's a lot of good news to report on. And I mean, in terms of that journey, I mean, the tank is full. Brand Ireland is in very good shape. This is a survey we carried out, a brand tracker survey in all our main markets by Millward Brown every year. And the interest in visiting Ireland is increasing in nearly all our main markets, which is great news. If you look at the example of France at the very bottom, when asked, where is the place that you're most interested in visiting? Italy and Spain came first and second, as you'd expect, but Ireland came third. That's a phenomenal position for a very small island to be in. And that same position is replicated in most of our main markets, where that interest is increasing. We're very clear in relation to who it is that we're targeting and in what market we're speaking to. So our market colleagues are here today, and they'll be able to talk to you in more detail about this, but we've mainly segmented our customers into 3 distinct categories. Those who are culturally curious, the social energizers, who are a younger type of audience, and the people who want to get away from it all, the great escapers. And thanks to the industry members who have participated with us in the various studies in these markets over the last 18 months in Britain, the United States, France and Germany. And it gives us very much a roadmap in relation to where we're targeting and who we're targeting. And for us, it allows us to pick various things that will resonate in each market. And I'm going to show you 2 examples of those right now. The first one is a cinema advertisement that will be appearing on 300 cinemas in Germany on the Wild Atlantic Way, which the Minister referred to already. This will also go on German television in January, and I'll play this for you now.
Wild. Rau. Ungezähmt. 2500 Kilometer. Eine der längsten Küstenstraßen der Welt. Der Wild Atlantic Way. Lass dich inspirieren. Und komm auf den Roadtrip deines Lebens. Komm nach Irland. Auf eine Reise, die du nie vergessen wirst. Erlebe den Wild Atlantic Way. Beginne deine Reise auf Ireland.com.
So an advertisement that will appeal very much to those who are great escapers and those who are culturally curious in 300 cinemas in Germany this month and on television in January. That'll also be translated into French and will roll out on 300 cinemas in France and also on television in France in January as well. The second example we have is something that speaks more to the social energizer side of things, and this runs in Britain and is video on demand. There's no actually voiceover on it, for example, 4 on demand. And just to give you an example of what appeals to the social energizers, 2 projects called Dublin Now and Dublin. I want to thank our colleagues in Fáilte Ireland for, because that brings the brand experience for life in terms of the promise that we make in the marketplace.
Dublin, bring your second wind with you. Plus, with the Gathering Ireland in full swing, a weekend here is jam-packed with even more festivals, sport and crack than ever. A
few policy initiatives that have helped us along the way. Get back clicker here. The Minister mentioned air access, and this summer of 2013 we saw a 3% increase in the number of airline seats coming into Ireland, but we saw a 25% increase from North America. We were helped by new routes with American Airlines from JFK to Dublin. We also had US Airways with a new service from Philadelphia to Shannon, and United Airlines with a new route from Chicago into Shannon. The good news is that all those routes are back again next summer, and in addition to that, United have announced an extra 90 flights on top of what they did in 2013 and the summer of 2014. On top of that, we've got new routes coming in from Toronto with Aer Lingus, we've got San Francisco with Aer Lingus, and also Rouge from Toronto too, and WestJet have announced a new route from Newfoundland into Ireland as well. The recent decision to abolish the air travel tax is really welcome, and it's meant that we've got new access opening up into mainland Europe and Great Britain by both Ryanair and Aer Lingus. So next year in the summer we expect to see an increase of between 5 and 10% of the number of airline seats coming into Ireland, which is fantastic news. Secondly, value for money. We were delighted to see the government hold the VAT rate at 9%. Ireland has got much more competitive in recent years. We've seen our best competitive ranking in mainland Europe and North America in 10 years. We do still have issues with value for money in Britain, but that's largely a currency-related issue. But I would say for the coming 3 years, competitiveness is absolutely and utterly vital. The global recovery is very fragile, and value for money is what the customer is going to be looking for. So it's important that we keep a very strong focus on that. The government introduced a visa waiver scheme back in 2011, which meant visitors from about 16 different countries who came into Britain will be able to access Ireland with no additional visa requirements. That has meant now that dozens of new tour operators in long-haul markets are programming Ireland that never did before. Just take China, for example. This is some footage here that was on Chinese television of our recent sales mission, where we had 20 companies from Ireland went out to China. There were 7,000 engagements with 450 tour operators. We had the Irish and UK visa offices with us. We had Etihad, Emirates, Virgin and BA to explain the access situation. And there are major challenges here. The awareness of Ireland is almost nil. Ireland is not really on the agenda. So it's going to take a big effort to get out on the road. Is the prize big? Well, it's not big the way it is in North America, mainland Europe, but we're looking to grow numbers in China from 17,000 to 50,000. And I think working on those aspects of air access, working on the visa regime, and hopefully we'll see a common travel area introduced for the Chinese market in 2014. And I want to thank the Department of Justice who've worked with us very closely over the last number of years. I think we can start to make inroads into this market. So looking at marketing investment, we're going to be focusing investment in those markets that are going to yield the biggest return in the coming 3 years. And the biggest return is most likely to come from North America and mainland Europe. Not to the detriment of other markets. This is where we see people who stay longer and spend more, and that's where the major focus of investment will be. We're going to increase our focus on digital marketing. Last year we introduced the new site Ireland.com. We feel it's got off to a great start. We've seen 13 million visits, an increase of 21% on page views, and the dwell time on each page has actually increased as well. We set this up with the idea that most people are now looking to come in from mobile devices, and in the first year alone, 22% of people coming into Ireland.com are coming in from mobile devices. In addition to this, I talked about segmentation and targeting earlier on. Well, this year we sent out 60 million emails, and we expect to see that level replicated over the next number of years, and it'll allow us to target those emails in relation to the segments that I talked about earlier on. And you should be working with us to make sure that you're targeting any emails that you have going out, and you'll be able to talk to our colleagues about that later. Our social media reach is excellent. Last year we had 1.2 million followers on Facebook. We now have 1.9 million. They have an average of 200 friends each, which is a global social reach of 380 million. We're looking to double that by 2016 to 750 million social interactions. We're now the second largest tourist board in the world on Facebook. Twitter a bit smaller, but still very important, third largest tourism agency on the world. And the Tourism Ireland YouTube channel is the largest watched YouTube channel of any tourism agency around the globe, with 10 million views during the course of this year. Now, this is a space that changes really quickly and coming fast behind our Pinterest and Instagram, and we have an eye on those as well at the moment. And in China, obviously, we've got Sina Weibo and Tencent, where we have over 300,000 followers right now. And I was very heartened last month to see the digital tourism think tank rank Ireland #1 and Tourism Ireland #1 when it came to social media reach. And it's an area that is going to be a really interesting and increasing focus for us in the years ahead. In terms of the gathering legacy, I mean, using that social media platform has been fantastic. Last year we worked with about 100 festivals and events around the island of Ireland in terms of their reach overseas, and we managed to help them add 240,000 new fans onto their Facebook pages by working with them, and we intend to continue that dialogue through the course of 2014. The whole area of diaspora is increasingly important. You've seen the benefit of having the census online and all the searches there are on that. Well, we set up a family history page on Facebook this year, and last month alone, that had 3 million views on it. We attended the Who Do You Think You Are show in Britain this year with about half a dozen industry, and we'll do the same in 24 and beyond. Lots of opportunity there. In addition to that, there are conversations we've been having with many partners around the world. The Lansdowne Club in Australia, the Federation of Irish Societies in Britain, which is now called the Irish in Britain, the Irish Technology Leadership Group in the States, and the Irish festivals like Milwaukee and Kansas, and many others. And there were 1,100 enablers identified in all those organisations that we're continuing the conversation on to see, can we win additional business for Ireland? One of the big events next year will be the first official state visit of the President to Britain, and we intend to maximise all the publicity opportunities that there will be occurring around that period of the 8th to the 10th of April. Events are critical, and I can't talk about all of these, but just to mention a few of them, the Giro d'Italia on the top left-hand corner will be coming in May. It's the second largest cycle race in the world after the Tour de France. Audiences of hundreds of millions around the world. It gives us a great promotional platform, and we're already talking to people about Giro and how we're going to utilise that. It was great to see the Limerick City of Culture 2014 at World Travel Market last month with their programme and brochure all printed and distributed and ready to talk to customers on the stand. And the Croke Park Classic is on in August, at the end of August, and we saw the great benefit of the Emerald Isle Classic last year, and we are already working with Croke Park and the two universities out in the United States to make a great success out of that game. So these events are about must go now, no excuses, and it's using the publicity opportunities to create that sense of urgency. St. Patrick's Day is a critical day for us in terms of promoting Ireland around the world. It's a fantastic platform. It comes at a really good time of the year when people are thinking about going on their holidays. A number of years ago, we started a little initiative called the Global Greening Project, where we greened a few buildings around the world and got a small bit of publicity about it. But last year, we got over 70 global icons around the world greened, including the Pyramids of Egypt and the statue of Christ the Redeemer in Brazil. The benefit of that, for example, in Great Britain was that for the first time ever, on the websites of The Times, The Guardian, The Observer, The Independent, The Express, The Mail, all carried those photographs on the front page of their website on the 18th of March. It's publicity that we couldn't have bought. And in the United States, here's a clip that appeared on NBC Coast to Coast on the 17th of March.
And here is something you might find surprising, the reach of St. Patrick's Day around the world. Although these images almost look photoshopped, the landmarks were transformed with green lighting in honor of the day. The Sydney Opera House in Australia was glowing. Both the Christ Redeemer statue in Rio and the Leaning Tower of Pisa shine brightly. And South Africa had a halo of green casting down Table Mountain.
So that's just a small clip of a 30-second piece, coast to coast, on NBC national television on St. Patrick's Day, which had an audience of 7 million. And if we were to buy that 30-second slot, it would have cost us $2.2 million. We couldn't do it. It's probably one of the best returns on investment we get in publicity, and we're very pleased with it. I've talked mainly about... Thank you. So I know the Minister wrote to a lot of people last year to ask them to green icons in Ireland, so maybe you might think about your own property next year, because this is really something that can go viral and become much, much bigger. I'm confident of that. I've talked about leisure tourism up to now. We're not forgetting about business tourism. We have a very good working relationship with our colleagues here in Fáilte, Ireland. You know, to capitalise on this, it's worth $500 million a year to the Irish economy, and working with Convention Bureau here in Dublin, Cork, Killarney, Galway and other places, you know, capitalising on things like our position of being number 3 in terms of business tourism destination in GB, but also mainland Europe, North America, long-haul markets. Lots of opportunities here, and we continue to focus on those in 2014 and beyond. So in terms of summarising, what are the key points that I want you to take out from today? Next 3 years is about focusing on investment in the markets where we're going to get the best returns. Those best returns are likely to be in North America and mainland Europe, but that is not to the detriment of other markets, which are extremely important as well. We're very clear in relation to what segments we're focused on and what markets we're focused on, and you at your enterprise level need to be the same as well. And I encourage you to engage with all our market colleagues who are here today to know what market are you going after and what customer are you targeting. The brand is really important. How do we use the experiences like the Wild Atlantic Way, like the example I quoted earlier on from Dublin, but there are many more, and our colleagues will show you those later on as well. Events. What events are going on? We pointed to the Giro, the Croke Park Classic and Limerick, and there are many others too. So what are the events that can trigger must go now and that sense of urgency? And underpinning all that are leading position and our investment in the area of digital marketing. It's really, really important. So they are the 5 main takeouts in relation to what I'm hoping that you'll take out of my session here today. And in summary, really, I mean, none of this can happen without collaboration. And I think the amount of collaboration that has been happening in the last couple of years is fantastic. It's great to see such a big turnout today. I think it shows a hunger and it shows an appetite. We're very keen. We've worked with a lot of agencies over the last year and companies in putting together this 3-year plan. In the public service, the likes of Bord Bia, I think food has become something really, really important. Obviously, our colleagues in Fáilte Ireland, who we liaise with all the time. Our colleagues in industry groups like ITIC and the IHF and the ITOA, but also individual enterprises like the Guinness Storehouse, who are having a record year themselves. And well done to every individual enterprise that's contributed, and we look forward to working with all of you in the coming years. So where will our journey take us? Well, this is a really ambitious 3-year journey, and we're all in this together. And I have 3 slides that will sort of set out the numbers, because there's a lot of detail to take in. But in terms of visitors, by 2016, we're looking to drive 4.3 million promotable visitors. And there are people coming on their holidays, an increase of 16% over that 3-year period, which will see our visitor numbers increase to 8.9 million over 3 years by 2016. What does that mean in terms of revenue? Revenue from holidaymakers increasing by 2.7 billion, an increase of 24% over that 3-year period. It means that the industry take by 2016 will be 4.5 billion as opposed to the 3.6 billion that it is in 2013. And if you add all that together, what do the big numbers add up to? What's the size of the prize? The size of the prize over a 3-year period is 12.6 billion revenue in your tills, which spreads around every county and every enterprise around Ireland, driven by a total number of 25.6 million visitors. Those are really big numbers, but I have to say I'm really heartened by what's happened in 2013. I think the graphs are turning in our direction. A lot of the strategic factors are going our way, and I'm confident by getting the shoulder to the wheel, these are the big numbers that we can deliver, and I'm excited about being part of it. And I want to thank you all for the support that you've given us here at home, and particularly to all our colleagues overseas who work in 22 markets. I think the omens are good. We're very confident about this, and we look forward to working with you to make it a success. So thank you very much indeed, and Shane is going to come up and just get back to the logistics, but thanks for all your help and support. Thank you.